Good morning. On behalf of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus, I'd like to welcome you to our Sunday service. I'm Pam Conley. I've been a member of this congregation since 2017. I sing in the Chalice Choir and serve on the coordinating team. Let us begin our time together by acknowledging the land which holds us, home of the Adena, the Hopewell, the Wyandotte, the Miami, the Seneca, and the Cayuga. Gathered here and online, may we be grateful, thoughtful, and humble. Our opening song this morning was written by Dorothy Kiger-Senges, a librarian and lay member of the First Universalist Society in Burlington, Vermont. The text was written for a Thanksgiving Sunday service. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening song, We Gather Together, number 349 in the Gray Hymnal. If you're at home, feel free to sing as loud and strong as you wish. If you're here in the worship center, I invite you to rise, but either hum or sing softly, sharing your love but not your breath.
Good morning. You know, you have a few extra tasks in this time of pandemic with mask on, mask off. Did you ever see the old, I think it was a movie or TV show where it's wax on, wax off? I feel like mask on, mask off. But that's what we're doing these times to protect ourselves and each other. I'm Reverend Dr. Marian Stewart. It is my pleasure to serve this congregation as senior minister. It's good to see everybody here as we're starting to come back. I hope that everybody's making a wise decision for yourself, either to come in person, which we of course love having you here, or watching from home on live stream. You're welcome however you choose to join us. Don't forget that you can access our order of service, the Joys and Sorrows form, donation page, all of those good things. If you simply aim your phone at the QR code, and magic, it will show up there. You can also go to our website, firstucolumbus.org/Sunday, and that will get you there. A few quick reminders. This afternoon, we have a wonderful concert from the Columbus Women's Chorus. The Columbus Women's Chorus is, they call First UU their home, although during the pandemic they have practiced elsewhere. So this will be their return, and I hope that you can all come. You can buy your tickets at the door or online, and everyone is welcome. It'll be at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Also, Brandon is back here, and that reminds me of the Music Sunday coming up in a few Sundays on December 12th. Our choirs will be here, the Chalice Choir, the Spirit of Life Choir, and special guests, musicians doing things, and we get to sing, so it's going to be a wonderful Sunday of music. I hope you can all attend then. After that service, we will also have the return of the cookie fair. So start getting ready to bake, and we'll see how that works out in safe pandemic fashion. We'll have a few modifications, but it's cookies, folks. We're going to do it. And now I have a wonderful privilege to introduce Reverend Linda Smith. Many of you already know Linda, but unless you read this week's Rev Talk, you don't have to tell on yourselves, but unless you've read this week's Rev Talk, you might not know that Reverend Linda has agreed to serve 1/4 time to support our pastoral ministry while we continue to search for a 3/4 time pastoral minister. Linda, working quarter time, still has time to do all of her fabulous work with our justice program. So Linda is a great addition to our pastoral staff, and of course it's wonderful to have her. Let's give her a welcome round of applause. It is just super to have Linda. Thank you so much. And now let us settle as we listen to Nathan play our prelude.
Thank you, Nathan. If you are joining us online, I invite you to bring your chalices closer so we may kindle our flames together. This morning, Denaya, a member of our youth group, will help us light our chalice. Our chalice lighting this morning is from Gary Kowalski. With faith to face our challenges, with love that casts out fear, with hope to trust tomorrow, we accept this day as the gift it is, a reason for rejoicing. The chalice is cantankerous this morning. I have no idea. Can you help?
Let's see what we can do here.
Our chalice is lit.
Good morning, my name is Caroline Wacharski, and I'm part of our youth group. Our Director of Religious Exploration, Amber Scott, is off today and will be back next Sunday. Activities for families with children are happening during the worship service today outside on the SYC playground. After the story, you have the opportunity to join our families outdoors if you are interested. For today's story, we will hear from contemporary Indigenous people about what America was like before the Pilgrims arrived.
Winikisak, Natasuis Kari, Nutumas Masapiat, Natoi Pakasat. My name is Carrie Helm. I'm the Cultural Programs and Guest Experience Manager here at Plymouth Plantation, and I am an enrolled member of the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Nation from Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
My name is Darius Coombs, Mashpee Wampanoag, that's my nation of people, and I'm the Director of Wampanoag and Algonquin Interpreter Training here at Plymouth Plantation.
Wampanoag means people of the white light. And the reason being is our territory extended all the way to the tip of the Cape, and we're the first to see the sun. The Northeast, before contact with Europeans, I think a lot of people have it in their mind that it was kind of untouched, pristine wilderness. We did practice cultivation of crops, so we were slashing and burning from the shore to a mile inland before the old growth forest would start. There were several tribes in what's now known as Massachusetts. There were the Wampanoag people, my people, on the east coast of Massachusetts. And then in central Massachusetts, you also had the Nipmuc and the Paumanok.
There's probably over 1,000 different indigenous nations, and Wampanoag is just one. And what makes us similar is how we think about life. So we respect all forms of life, including human, of course. They say the codfish are so thick around here that you can walk right across their backs to the tip of Cape Cod. They say we have so much lobster around here, you can walk down the beach at low tide and pick lobster off the beach.
Before the Mayflower arrived in 1620, my ancestors had almost 100 years of recorded contact with European people. The first person to record interaction with Wampanoag people was Giovanni de Verrazzano. But we had English, French, Dutch, occasionally Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, traders, mappers, slavers, fishermen, lots of interaction. When they started interacting with different groups of Europeans, it was wave after wave of pathogens and infectious disease that swept through. The 1616 to 1618 plague, we believe, was brought by French fur traders up in Maine, and it swept very quickly down the coast, all the way to Narragansett Bay where it stopped. Patuxet means place of the little falls in my language, and that's for all the natural springs. It's located in what's now called Plymouth, Massachusetts. It was one of the largest of our original 69 communities because of all the natural springs, so we think there was about 2,000 people living there. Unfortunately, those people were hardest hit by the plague of 1616 to 1618. So by the time the English settled here in 1620, there was no one living here.
This is where the colonists first landed in December of 1620. We were used to people coming over, but we weren't used to people coming over and staying, and people bringing women and children and building homes.
The things that they were making, were lasting several generations. What I think was the most important for people to take away about Wampanoag people then and now is that we're still here. We're a living, breathing culture. I like to talk about language revitalization. It's the youth, really, that are spearheading a lot of these projects. They're really proud of their culture.
My name is Alana Helm. I am Mashpee Wampanoag, and I'm also the Mashpee Wampanoag Powwow Princess. It's not bad. That honor means that I have to be a good inspiration to younger kids, and I have to be a good role model to show them how traditional things would have been done. I grew up learning how to make regalias from a young age, cooking traditional foods like nassamp and venison and wild rice and just a bunch of different other things. Pottery, quill work, weaving.
You can see how tiny these little checkerboards are.
We have the power to change a person's way of thought. As they come into the museum here, they might be thinking one way about Wampanoag people, or they might be thinking another way about the colonists. And when they leave here, it might be different. So we are empowered.
In this video, we are reminded that Indigenous people are still here. Today, as we consider our own Thanksgiving traditions, I invite you to remember that tribes like the Wampanoag are still working to keep their traditions alive, despite the many disruptions of colonism. As we move into the session of gratitude, may we cultivate thankfulness and mindfulness for the Indigenous lands that we continue to inhabit today. Thank you, and blessed be. Families who would like to participate in outdoor Sunday school are now invited to head towards the playground as Nathan plays us out.
Thank you to Caroline and to Denaya for participating in our service this morning. We always love it when our youth and children are involved. So if you are a youth, please let us know, and we'd love to have you up front too. We love to support you and to have you with us. To participate in our caring meditation, which will take place just a little bit later in our service, we ask you to click on the QR code. Once again, you'll see a Joys and Sorrows form. You can click there, fill it out, and your joy or sorrow will be lifted up later in the service. It will also let us know if you need pastoral care or support during the week. We are here for you. We also have pastoral listeners this morning. You can spot them by the purple scarf that they're wearing. It's a deep purple. The pastoral listeners will join us later for the caring meditation, and they're also available after the service if you need to talk to anyone or to have your story witnessed by someone. We are here for you. And now, I invite you to rise as you're willing and able and sing For All That Is Our Life. It's a fine song for any time, but especially for Thanksgiving, and you'll find it in your gray hymn book, number 128. Let us sing.
Our hope is
Our centering words this morning are from Timothy Haley. Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit in silence, to give thanks for another day, to give thanks for the gift of life. We know we are on our pilgrimage here, but a brief moment in time. Let us open ourselves here, now, to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth.
Thank you to Brandon and to the choir. I can hardly wait for the 12th when the choir is actually here in person. They record pieces like that on Thursday night at their rehearsals. And if you're here on Thursday nights with them, they fill the space and it's glorious. So come vaccinated, come masked, come on the 12th. You'll get music and cookies. Okay, so the title of the sermon today is Pardoning the Turkey. And I know that Americans have plenty of traditions, and some are serious, for sure, and some are not. Not to be outdone, the White House has a few traditions of its own. This one just gobbles up the attention. Pardoning the turkey is stuffed with history. Oh. President Lincoln granted the first clemency in 1863, and before long, a Rhode Island poultry farmer began sending well-fed birds to the White House every November. In 1913, there was a bit of romance when a turkey come lately from Kentucky shared a few minutes of fame with that year's fine-feathered Rhode Islander. Not to be out-gobbled, turkeys began arriving at the White House from barnyards all across the country. In hopes of forgiveness, an American Legion gobbler arrived in a bunting draped crate from Mississippi. A Chicago Girls Club turkey arrived outfitted as a flying ace, and a Vermont Girl Scout bird flew the coop. The tradition became a symbol of good cheer. A few days before Thanksgiving in 1963, President Kennedy was gifted a turkey with a sign, "Good eating, Mr. President," to which Kennedy responded with a pardon and well wishes to keep him going. Not until 1981 did pardoning the turkey mean the bird didn't get served up as dinner. President Reagan sent his turkey to a farm, and the pardoning ceremonies became a source of satire and humor. President H.W. Bush sent his turkeys to a children's farm. And the last president pardoned a turkey named Corn. And this year, President Biden granted stays to a pair named Peanut Butter and Jelly. All pardons aside, Biden joked that these turkeys might have been saved from the roaster, but he has very fond memories of PB&Js. Gobble, gobble. It's Thanksgiving. I thought we would have a little bit of fun. But you know, all fun aside, this is a really scary time in our history. It's also a good time. This Thanksgiving is a return to traditions where we can sit around the dinner table with family and friends, albeit with vaccinations and boosters. If we're lucky, we can laugh about pardoning the turkeys as we pile our plates high. For that, we are grateful. At the same time, this week, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, the Ahmaud Arbery death trial, and the civil rights case against organizers of the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, and the sentencing of the QAnon shaman for his part in the January 6th insurrection, those all took place this past week. That's a lot. But of course, there's good news too. Boosters got approved. Children are getting vaccinated. A big bill got approved, and a pair of turkeys got pardons. It's a yes and world. These aren't sides or dualisms. It's not a choice that all this happens at one time. These are all true, and it's all part of our world, the world we created. And sometimes I just wonder, what were we thinking? I don't know about you, but sometimes I just want to escape. Maybe joining the pardoned turkeys out on a farm somewhere. But the odds of getting a reprieve are 2 gobbles in a zillion. So, how do we have gratitude when so much seems to be wrong? I struggle with a sense of guilt, some of it rising out of my ancestral heritage and my privilege today. But also I struggle with a sense of shame for not fighting hard enough, not being loud enough, and not being just enough. There's so much. And it's destabilizing. Guilt keeps me away from the front lines. Shame keeps me silent. I read all the latest news, but I don't do much, if anything. It just fills my head. And then there are days when I can't even read the news. There's just so much. I don't know. Do you have days like that too? Yep, there's a lot out there. And that's where the turkeys can help. I can be just as cynical as everyone and call the whole pardoning the turkey business stupid, among other things, but that's the easy way out. Cynicism is a form of giving up and checking out. It's easy to respond and just give quips and comebacks when you hear things like pardoning the turkey. Yet cynicism hides a deep sense of hurt and often shame. Who really cares about those particular turkeys? I do, because with all the pain in the world, those pardons for those particular turkeys are a symbol of hope. Now, it might sound like I'm desperate for hope, but I don't know, these days, who isn't? We all need it. I think the whole world needs a little bit of hope. But first of all, to make that happen, this shame thing, it has to go. It just has to go. We're all good enough. We have our own unique ways that we can address the issues in our lives and our world, and yes, we are good enough. And for guilt, we need to learn the difference between unhealthy guilt and healthy guilt. In my mind, the unhealthy version feeds into a sense of personal shame. To turn that around, I need to acknowledge what is true and then do something about those truths that actually hurt other people. That's where empathy and compassion and gratitude come in. Traditions come in as well. And since it's Thanksgiving, I'll start and end with the gratitude and tradition part. If I were a turkey and got pardoned, I'd scratch out a thank you note. The dilemma comes when the receiver, the one who gave the gift of pardon, must decide whether to write a thank you note in return. Thank you for the thank you. And if I thank you for the thank you, do I acknowledge the thank you for the thank you with another thank you? This gratitude thing has its own slippery slope. But here's a situation where gratitude, empathy, and compassion all come into play. It also became a living tradition. The story began 6 years ago, and you might have heard it back then or even this year. I don't know. I followed it every year, and it just warms my heart every time, and I wanted to share it with you on this Thanksgiving. It seems that Wanda Dench, a grandmother out in Arizona, sent a text to her grandson's old phone number. Nobody's ever done that, have you? Sent a text to the wrong place? I think I did it last week. A stranger received Dench's Thanksgiving invitation. Who sent this? Your grandma. Grandma? Can I have a picture? The teenager replied. The teenager received a selfie of a woman he had never seen before, and the teenager, Hinton, wrote back, "You're not my grandma," adding with a laughing emoji. Still playing along, he jokingly asked, "Can I still get a plate, though?" Jamal Hinton, the black teenager who got the errant text, showed up at Dench's door on Thanksgiving, taking the unknown white woman up on her invitation. She invited the high schooler in and gave him a seat at the table. Long story short, Jamal and Dench's family became friends, sharing life stories and experiences for 6 years running. Last year was different, though, not just because of the pandemic. Dench decided to scale back Thanksgiving because her husband's death of COVID happened just a few months before. Instead, a small number of Dench's family and Jamal ate a dinner together next to a candle lighting a portrait of Dench's late husband. Dench told a reporter for USA Today, "I can't even explain how much joy I had, having good food with my favorite company. We laughed, we had a great time, we reminisced about the past, and it was so good for all of us." Their tradition continues this week with Grandma Wanda inviting Jamal, his girlfriend, and Jamal's family to a stranger-turned-friend Thanksgiving. It will be their 6th in a row. Now, this kind of story went viral. It goes viral every year when Thanksgiving comes up, and it's a feel-good story that I think we all need. It broke so many barriers and traditional traditions. Not only does this real-life story ooze with empathy and compassion, it also lifts up the best of who we can be. Our problems can only be fixed if we dare to examine our traditions. Some traditions need to end now, like the ones on trial this week. White supremacy lost the war and needs to concede and stand down. We cannot keep silent or get lost in do-nothing guilt and shame. White supremacy culture will grow stronger to the degree it goes unchallenged. And we also need to get real on the origins of Thanksgiving, at least the Pilgrim version. Other traditions also need to be reinvented. Thanksgiving is a prime candidate. Maybe a turkey or two can get pardoned each year, but we need to look at our own eating habits. But, that's a whole different sermon. And maybe we just all need to learn how to break bread together. In the text chain with Dench, Jamal played along jokingly and asked, "Can I still get a plate, though?" And Dench replied, "Of course you can. That's what grandmas do. Feed everyone." So my question for you this Thanksgiving is, who have you invited to your table? Or in this time of seemingly endless pandemic, who are you starting a conversation with that is beyond your familiar circle? On this Thanksgiving, I'll take the ministerial privilege and give every one of you, in person and online, I'll give you a pardon as long as you agree to begin a conversation. Blessings to you, blessings to your family, blessings to your friends, and blessing to all the strangers that we're sure to meet. Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble.
Our church is a community of love, caring, and generosity. Together, we work for a more just world. To offer our gifts and pay our promised pledges is to say yes. We are defined by our hearts and our deeper values. Our Share the Plate recipient for November is the Sedona Grace Foundation. Sedona Grace is a public charity that provides dog food, cat food, treats, that's canine care packages, to families in need throughout Central Ohio food pantries. Through community support, Sedona Grace has provided thousands of pounds of food to pet owners who want to feed and keep their pets, but are also struggling to meet their own food needs. Our donations have a bigger impact when we give together. Regardless of your ability to contribute, we value your presence here. Thank you.
Diana Butler Bass ends her book, Grateful, with a prayer adapted for us today. Spirit of life, there are days when we do not feel grateful, when we are anxious or angry, when we are alone, when we do not understand what is happening in the world or with our neighbors. We struggle to feel grateful. But this Thanksgiving, let us intentionally decide to choose gratitude. Choose to accept life as a gift from the unfolding work of all creation. Choose to be grateful for the earth from which our food comes, for the water that gives life, for the air we all breathe. We honor the indigenous peoples who inhabited this land long before we came. We acknowledge the atrocities of colonialism and westward expansion. It is a responsibility and privilege to live here now as caretakers of the land and peoples crying out for healing. We lift up all those who were enslaved, terrorized, and oppressed, who helped build the infrastructure of our country and contributed so much to our American culture. We owe much humility and gratitude and an unpaid debt. We make the choice to see our ancestors and their stories as a continuing gift of wisdom for us today. We choose to see our families and friends with new eyes, appreciating them for who they are, and being grateful for our homes, whether humble or grand. We can choose to be grateful for our neighbors, no matter how they voted or how much we feel hurt by them. We choose to see the whole planet as our shared commons, the public stage of the future of humankind and creation. This Thanksgiving, we do not give thanks, we choose it, and we will make our thanks with strong hands and courageous hearts. When we see generosity, we are aware that we live in an infinite circle of gratitude, that we are all guests at a hospitable table around which gifts are passed and received. We will not let anything opposed to love take over this table. Instead, we choose to see grace, free, unconditional, and unearned love, the gifts of life everywhere, the tender web of all creation. In this choosing, in this making, we will pass gratitude on to the world. With all those gathered here, let us pledge to create and offer thanks. And we ask for strength in this resolve, here and now and into the future, around this table, around the table of our nation, around the table of our earth. Amen and blessed be. Before our pastoral listeners lift up what you have shared, I want to lift up that yesterday was the 22nd Annual Trans Day of Remembrance and Resilience. We remember, honor, and uplift the lives of our trans siblings who were taken too soon from us. Last year, 47 lives were lost here in the United States, 375 globally, in addition to those who were unreported or misreported. Many of these were people of color. I also want to lift up those troubled by the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse. May we transform grief and anger into justice and equity. May he find a peaceful way forward. Gage Grosskreutz was wounded. May he find healing. Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber died. May their families find healing and love in their time of grief. May Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, and our trans siblings not have died in vain. Here are our other caring cards and joys and concerns this morning.
There were 2 joys shared this week. Myra C. has her first on-site job in Ohio. If you've been working remotely for a long time, I think that's a good thing. With her pain, she is recovering at home and will be back to work soon. We also send our love and caring thoughts to Jack A., who is mourning the death of Dina, a good friend. She is one of the people that Jack helped by providing food over the years. She disappeared for several days, and her body was recently found. Investigations are ongoing. We also send healing thoughts to Claire B., who fell and fractured 4 ribs. She is recovering at home.
May we hold these joys and sorrows and those yet unspoken gently in our hearts. And when the time comes, let them flow along. As Marian rings our temple bell, I invite you into a brief time of silence. Use this time to reflect, imagine, pray, or simply breathe in and breathe out. She will ring the bell a second time as we continue our service.
So much to be grateful for in so many ways. And thank you, Linda, and our pastoral team. I close with these words by William Stafford. Will you ever bring a better gift to the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go right now? Are you waiting for time to show some better thoughts? When you turn around, starting here, lift this new glimpse that you have found. Carry into the evening all that you want for this day. This interval you spent hearing this, keep it for life. What can anyone give you greater than now? Starting here, right in this room, when you turn around. I invite you to rise and sing as you're willing and able our closing hymn. You'll find it 355 in your gray hymnal. We lift our hearts up in thanks. We'll sing verses 1, 3, and 4.
If you have joined us online, I invite you to bring your chalice close so we can extinguish this flame together. After our service is concluded, please join our coffee hour outside the main entrance or in the hall, depending on which they direct you to. If you're online, please use the Zoom link sent this morning to join an online coffee hour. This week's online coffee hour is hosted by our Board of Trustees. Make sure you use and click on the new link in this morning's email. In person or online, all are welcome to join the conversation. Now, let us join together in saying our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love. Thanks, Denaya. Our chalice is extinguished. Please remain seated as our choir sings our benediction and as Nathan plays our postlude. After the postlude, we look forward to seeing you at coffee hour.
I just want to say as I get started, happy Thanksgiving, one and all.